Welcome to the Waffle Flower channel. Hi, it's Therese, and today we're going to be creating a fun window scene. So I've got the Waffle Flower Crafts A2 arch window die, and I want to do a partial die cutting technique. So I have a piece of cardstock and I'm literally just going to lay the die, the portion that I want die cut, onto the cardstock and then run that through my machine. Now I haven't removed the flowers or the leaves in this set because I can actually use those rather than waste those little squares of paper, and I'll just keep them in the packet, and one day when I'm ready to do a little hanging basket or something, they'll be there ready to go. So I've only really die cut the portion that I want. Now in my little scene I want some of the critters from the Books and Coffee stamp set. These are so sweet, and I've stamped them out with some black alcohol marker friendly ink, and I'm just literally going to do some very simple colouring. I've got the lids off to the side, so if you do want to see what colours I'm using, you can always take a look at those. So I have no hard and fast rules when it comes to Copic colouring. Sometimes I'll add my shading first, sometimes I'll add a base layer of a light colour and then actually come in and do my shading after. And I don't really know why that is. Every critter's quite different, and every time I colour them they can look quite different. It doesn't really matter. The good thing about Copics is that they're quite forgiving, and I can always come back in and add some shading afterwards. So sometimes it's easier just to add less initially and then sort of build up on that. So I do like to colour my images in their normal colours, not like the natural colours, but I did consider making these little critters nice and bright, and maybe I might even make a second card doing exactly that. I think it'd be a really fun card to make with some nice bright bears and a raccoon. I decided to colour these glasses so they look like they have a reflection, and the way I have done that is to actually add less colour and less shading behind the glass themselves, and then come in with a really light sort of blue colour to make it look like it's sort of reflecting the light off them. They're almost like a Harry Potter glass, these ones. They're cool. So this stamp set is one of the new in the series from Big Bear and Bird, and they have a lot of fun images, not just the critters. They have a lot of little images within the set, or images within the set that you can create scenes with, and that's what gave me the idea of making a little window scene with these critters. So I've been busy colouring along while I've been chatting, and I'm not adding too much shading to any of these, especially the smaller images. Probably the bear was the one that required the most shading. I have kept it fairly simple. Like it's just a fun scene. You don't want to make it too hard on yourself, and it can look good even without, over shading and complicating it. I do use a grey marker though to come back in and add shadow, which is a really fun trick because it means you don't have to have every colour under the rainbow, and you don't have to come in with 3 different colours for every tiny little image. So this set has matching dies, even for the small stuff. There's a lot of matching dies. It's great. It really makes it easy. And I'm just going to cut all of these images out. I just hold them in. I do like to hold them in place with some, and this is a painter's tape that I use. It's just from the hardware store, and I keep reusing it too, and actually I don't throw it away until it won't stick properly. But this bear image is only a partial die cut, so you can actually do a lot with that die cut. Initially I was thinking about just having the card pretty white and very clean and simple, but I looked at it and I thought, no, I wanted to change it up and just do that little bit more with it. So what I've done is I'm creating my own wallpaper here. So I've got a piece of pale blue cardstock just from my scraps, and I've cut it to the same size as my window, and I've used some of the, like a pro, it's the grey ink, and stamped out this tiny little flower image. It's kind of a berry image actually from the Fruity Thank You stamp set, and I'm using some Prismacolor pencils because they work really well on coloured cardstock. You can actually see the colour. And I'm just adding some pink to the berries and some green to the leaves. To make it look more like wallpaper, what I decided to do was add, this is the thinnest line from the Plaid Play stamp set, and I'm second generation stamping the Like a Pro grey ink in lines, just in stripes. So add the ink, stamp it off once, and then I'm eyeballing it. If you wanted to be a perfectionist, you could put marks down on the cardstock, and that way you know it's going to be straight, but I wasn't being too particular. It was easy enough just to roughly, and it doesn't have to be perfect. And I think that just made all the difference to my wallpaper. My sentiment is also from the Fruity Thank You set, and I'm heat embossing it in white. And this is just on some scrap of like a dark grey cardstock. I've just used my embossing ink and then hit it with my heat tool. I thought it'd be fun to make this like a tab, so I have the A2 pull tabs die set, and that gives you 3 different sizes of tabs that you can add. And what I've done here is I've got the middle tab. I'm just going to hold that in place, and it doesn't cut the whole line. You'll see it only just cuts around the oval, the half oval shape. So I wanted it to be a bit wider so I could tuck it in behind the window, so I just used my scissors to cut that away. And I think that is much easier than trying to do it with a circle die and trying to line it up. But you could use a circle die for it as well. This is just a nice little cheap way to do a tab. Alright, to add my sentiment, I did already have the foam strips behind the border of the window, so I just had to slip that in place. I pulled it away and just popped that in. Would have been easier had I actually adhered it before I put the foam strips on, but I don't know if you're like me, but I don't often think about my sentiment until afterwards. I did also think about creating a little picture frame like for the wall behind the window with the sentiment in it. I thought that would have been fun too. But the tab won out. I like the tab. Now I'm just popping all my critters into place. I'm using some tape runner, some fun foam, score tape, and some foam squares, and just strategically placing them within the window scene. They are really cute. And how cool that those die cuts cut these images perfectly. Now I know you can't see this little raccoon very easily, but if you open, you will be able to open this window. There you go. And you can see him then. And this one isn't sitting quite as high. And that's what I really like about, I like layering my images and elements just to have different heights on my cards. It just adds a lot of interest. To adhere my window scene to the front of my side fold landscape card, what I've done is add some score tape behind all 4 edges. Then I can peel back the 2 opposing corners and I just bend the score tape so it sits out. Then I can hold my window in place. Now what I do here is lean on the non-sticky corners, wiggle it round until I'm happy with the placement, push down on the sticky corners, and then I can just remove the release paper from the score tape and it will be adhered in the perfect spot. So that's it for my finished card today. For more product info, please visit waffleflower.com. Follow us on YouTube, Instagram and Facebook for more creative ideas. There's always heaps of inspiration in all of those places. So till next time, goodbye.